Hey guys, I just want to share with you kind of what we're going to be working on for this first quarter. If you'll bear with me just a second. All right, here we go. All right, so we're going to start with reading foundational skills. Of course, we're going to be working on students writing upper and lowercase letters neatly, also looking at that correct sizing, that it's legible. We want to make sure that we can read it. Students will read one-syllable words with long and short vowels. Those words are like dig and cake and play. They'll identify and spell common vowel combinations. In the first quarter, we work on OO words like book, look, took, and also those EE words like peak. Students will read two-syllable words. Students will read words with prefixes and suffixes. Those are like those ed endings and those ing endings. Those words like shopped or fishing. And then some of those prefixes like untie, miss and pre, like preheat and those sort of things. Students will identify and read sight words, and that's something that we continue to work on all throughout the year. We just continually build on those word knowledge. Right, moving on to the next one. This is skills of fluency. They're going to read a grade level text smoothly with enough accuracy that they can understand. That is huge. We want them to be a confident reader, a reader that they can know what they read when they get finished. If you miss a lot of words and you concentrate on those words that you're missing or you're having a hard time with, it's easy for you when you get done reading not to have a clue what you just read about. We want students to read correctly and maintain a suitable rate. That means reading smoothly. And also to change their voices. We want them, when they get to that wow, to say it with excitement, not to just keep on trucking through. Students reread and use pictures and words to confirm, self-correct, or understand a word. So we want them to use their skills to try to figure out a word. We don't want them to just sit there on a word they don't know. We want them to try to figure it out, either through the pictures, through going on in the sentence and then coming back to that word, or self-correcting. Okay, now reading skills. They're going to show that they're understanding by answering questions, okay? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those are huge in second grade. And this standard is repetitive all throughout the year. We're constantly asking, who was the book about? What did that character do? Where did the book take place? Why did that character do this? How did that character feel? And then also that we will stop periodically and make sure that they are understanding what they're reading, and that we want them to do that. Take a little pause after the chapter before you go on to the next one to make sure that you understand what you're reading. All right, talking about fiction text. Students recount fiction stories that include, but are not limited to, fables, folk tales from many different cultures. Okay, so we get into some Native American history. We get into some, in May, I know we get into, folk tales, some legends, things like that. Students will use major events of stories and their actions of the characters to determine the message, the moral, or the lesson. Okay, this is something that we work on a lot. Do the students understand why the author wrote this story? What's the point? What are they trying to teach me? Okay, then they need to be able to explain how those characters reacted. They can use a timeline to show that they understand the events in the story, and how those characters responded. Then informational, okay? Those informational students recognize the main topic. They need to know what's the main idea, what's the focus of this little paragraph, and then what's the bigger focus, what's the focus of the entire story or passage. And they can use details to create charts and diagrams and timelines. A lot of times we'll make a circle map or a web, and we want students to tell us, what happened first, what happened next, and what was the ending. Moving on to writing. In writing, we work on an opinion piece. We might give them something to choose, and they have to back up their reasoning. We also work on informative text, writing informative text, and that means introduce a topic and use facts and definitions, okay? So those are the two main types of writing for the first quarter. We'll get into more different types as the year goes on, but in the first, we're really focusing on opinion and informative. Also, we're looking for their editing skills. We want them, with help from us, of course, and also from their peers, to be able to edit, to look over and notice those mistakes. I encourage my students to reread it. After you've written it, reread it. I'm bad a lot of times to leave out a word, and that can really change things. Moving on to math, which is my favorite topic. Students will use a number line to add or subtract within 20, okay? So in the first quarter, we are trying to stay in low numbers just to refresh those first grade skills. And we really want them to use a number line to add and subtract. We're trying to get away from those finger counting and using a number line. You can skip count on a number line. So as you can see from the example, I know that this example goes above 20. It was hard to find one below, but at first they skip counted by 10, then by 7, then by 2. So you don't have to bunny hop each line is the important thing. The next skill is addition and subtraction within 20, and we want them to use mental strategies, okay? Counting on, that would be like if you were given the problem 16 minus 8, you would use that 8 and count up to 16 and see how many you used. Decomposing those numbers, breaking that 16 into a 10 and a 6. So we call it a lot of times blowing it up. And by doing this, they're going to be using those fact families that they learned in first grade and just reiterating that for this first quarter. Next, we get into even and odd numbers, okay? We work on pairing objects and determining if they can be put into equal groups. A lot of times there's lots of pictures with this unit that we do, determining whether something is even or odd. And then they'll be writing equations, and we're looking for each side to be equal, like 10 plus 10 is 20. I know that you can take 15 and 5 and make 20, but that does not have equal on both sides. That 15 and that 5 are not equal. We want those add-ins to be equal. Moving on, now we're going up to 100. Okay, so we're adding and subtracting within 100. Okay. We want them to use strategies like place value, and this is breaking a number into tens and ones, okay? So seeing that 67 as 6 tens and 7 ones. And then it is important that we are not teaching them how to carry, how to borrow, that sort of thing. That's called the standard algorithm. We are not teaching that in second grade. Especially at this point, we are not teaching that. We really need them to see the picture first and to be able to see a digit, a number, and visualize what it looks like. A lot of times on their assessments, it wants them to draw out a number. So if I was giving them the number 21, I need them to draw 2 10 sticks and 1 single. Okay, 1 circle is how we represent our ones. So that is huge, not to teach them the algorithm. Now we're getting on to word problems. Word problems are great. We do use them all throughout the year in second grade because they're also helping their reading skills. It's addition and subtraction only. That's all we get into in second grade and within 100. And we switch around what they need to find. Do they need to find the first number in the word problem? The start unknown is what we call that. Is it the change unknown? That's what goes after the symbol, whether it be a plus sign or a minus sign. Are they trying to figure out that number? Or is the answer unknown? And all of our word problems are one step, okay? We do not get into two-step word problems in second grade. All right, and then we get into skip counting. We are going to count within 100 by skip counting by 5s and 10s, starting with any number. So if I start on 65, they need to be able to say 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. And then also by 10, 70, 80, 90, 100. They do not always start with 0 and go up or start with 10 and go up. It is random numbers. So if I say 78 and I want them to count by 10s, they need to be able to say 88 and realize that ones place does not move. I hope this has been a huge help to you. And if you have any questions, please reach out to any second grade teacher. We will be more than happy to help you. Have a great evening.